Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of JT Nerf Mods, where today we are continuing our modification and redesign of the Nerf Viper Strike. We're going to start off with the barrel. I have already prepped the barrel. I put all the screws back in it, and I've taped the ends together because I realized that there are no longer any screw posts keeping it together, which we'll solve down the road. But I put a piece of paper in the center. That way, whenever we put the putty in, it won't join the two sides accidentally, which wouldn't be good. So let's see here. List of things you're going to need are going to just be really simple with some plastic weld. I picked this up today. You could also use steel stick. I've used that before and it works pretty good with really good results. Later, hopefully in this video, we'll also be putting some bondo on the blaster and smoothing out this scale texture. While it looks kind of cool, I'd rather have a smooth blaster to work with. But we're going to start off with the plastic weld here. And yeah, well, let's get started. I'm going to finish one half so you can see what happens. And then I'll show you guys what to do with the other half. So without further ado, I'll be back when this half is done. Alright, we're back. We have this on the end now. As you can see, the paper divides the halves, so that way when you put your epoxy down, it will allow it to separate easier. And then you don't have to saw through your epoxy layers. So as you can tell, I have covered the end of the barrel here in epoxy, and it's okay to have extra because you can always sand it off. It's a lot harder to put more on top of something that has already dried and cured. So don't be afraid to really put it up there. Now we're going to start on this side, but this time I'm going to kind of show you the process and kind of explain what I'm doing and the end goal of it all. So we're going to start with the epoxy I put somewhere. Yeah, here it is. We're going to start with this epoxy here. If I can get it open. I can. Woohoo. And you want to take off a decent amount, but not too much, or else you'll have way too much epoxy putty for what you'll need. With this side, I cut off just about half an inch of putty, so probably right about there. And always be careful with knives, that way you don't accidentally cause yourself to be hurt. So once we get this all cut off, what you want to do is just put the lid, if you will, back on the putty so it doesn't dry out, and properly store it as per the instructions. So now that we have our little dollop of putty, we're going to want to peel off the plastic. 1 second as I find the end to this. Alright, it's kind of tricky to find the end to the plastic, so I guess you just have to look for it carefully. I do recommend you wear gloves doing this. Whoops. I do recommend you wear gloves doing this, just because it's kind of hard. It's not hard to wash off. It's just easier to wear gloves. I'm not wearing gloves because I just forgot, but I recommend wearing gloves. If you don't wear gloves, it's actually not that hard to wash off. Just use some soap and water. I used warm water and it came off pretty well. Maybe a scrubber, but soap and water should be able to take care of it for you. So now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of knead it into the areas it needs to go in, kind of like so. And then for some tricky areas, what you might want to do is take off a little bit at a time and kind of just push it in those areas, kind of like so. And then rolling your finger helps it not stick to your finger as much. As you can see, I'm getting it all over my fingers and everywhere. So kind of just roll it in where it needs to go. These two epoxy layers are going to touch, but hopefully with the paper it should help with them separating once both of them are dry. And if you don't have enough, you can kind of just merge some of your putty from the bottom to the top to get all the creases you need to get into, kind of like so. And again, just work it as much as needed, and then it should form quite nicely. And it's okay to dollop a lot of it because you can always sand it off. That's just about it. Again, kind of roll and push and whatever you need to do. Alright, so as you can see, it's just about finished up. You want to make sure to get most or all of the air bubbles out as you can. And a few more touches and we should be done with that. Just got to fill in this final, this final crack here. Alright, there we go. Kind of like so. Alright, so as you can see, it's not totally even. There's some more epoxy here than there. But that's okay, because we'll just sand everything to be neat and match. Plus, we're going to bondo the whole thing anyway. The reason I used putty instead of bondo is because it's just easier to fill in large gaps, whereas bondo is good for small cracks like this. Because if you were to do like a big hole like what was down here, you have to wait for the bondo to dry and then reapply it every so often. But with the putty, you can kind of just mold it in where you want it and then just let it dry. So speaking of letting it dry, we're going to let this dry here and wash hands. So we'll be back once this is dried and cured, and we should move on to the next step. Alright, we're back, and I realized one thing we can do while we wait for the putty to dry is start on the body of the blaster. This bad boy right here. I have taken all the internals out off camera. Whoops. But there is nothing in here, and the scope is taken off from last video. But I don't know if you can see through the barrel there. There's no internals in this blaster currently, except the depriming switch. I figured it wouldn't get in the way, so I haven't removed it, and the blaster is screwed together. What we're going to be using is some 60 grit sandpaper. The reason we're using such a rough grit of sandpaper is just because I want to get all of the words and stuff off, and then I'll be going down to a 220 grit once the blaster is smooth and bonded. But for now, I'm just trying to rough up the surface and get off all the printed detailing. So let me get some sandpaper and we'll start getting off the printed detailing here. Alright, we got our sandpaper. Now we're just gonna start sanding off the raised lettering and detail. And now we are going to enter 2 times speed. Alright, so as you can tell, that took forever. But we have it nice and sanded down, and it's pretty smooth. Now all we have to do is bondo the whole body. But first, I'm going to kind of rinse this off with some water to get all the dust out, and then I'm going to dry it so we can get all the dust and particles out from sanding. So we'll be back once this is rinsed off, and we'll start bondo. All right, we're back. We got it rinsed off. We got it smoothed out. I removed some of the junk and stuff in there. Now, I forgot to actually rough up the whole blaster so the bondo sticks better. So we're going to grab our sandpaper. We're going to grab our 2x speed, and we are going to sand this down. Alright, so we got it all sanded off, and it's not perfectly sanded, but it should be like 97% sanded, so all the stuff will stick. Now I'm going to get this, again, rinsed off and get all the dust off of it, and I'll be back in a second. Alright, we're back. We got sanded, cleaned. As you can see, not all of it is sanded. I'm going to keep the handle, the stock, and this part as they are because they're already smooth. My main goal is just to smooth out the scaling texture. So pieces like the chin rest, or the cheek rest, I apologize, the cheek rest, and the top part here will mostly remain smooth. I will do some sanding on the top for where the scope used to be. Other than that, the top is going to remain mostly the same, with just a little bit of smoothing because you can see where the scaling texture kind of overlapped on the top. So we're gonna start the bondo process. Let me mix up some bondo, and then we'll be ready to go to patch all this up. All right, we're back. I'm about to put the hardener in the bondo. This is the first time I've used bondo, so I apologize for anything I do wrong. I have a fan running. Make sure to do this in a well-ventilated space. I probably have way too much than I need, but we're going to try adding like 3 drops. Okay, I think that was 3 drops. I don't know the consistency I'm looking for here. By here, you don't need a lot. I hear it's like something along the lines of 1 pea size to 1 golf ball size. I really don't know. I am not an expert, like I said, but we're going to just try that and see what happens. I am totally doing this in a well-ventilated space, and I recommend you all do it too. So the other thing I heard is you kind of just fold it over. Again, I apologize if I'm doing this wrong. I know there's like a special spreader you're supposed to use for this, but I don't have it, and I don't feel like buying it. So I'm using cardboard, but I'm just going to kind of go till it gets well done, and once I get it mixed up, then I'm going to start putting it on the blaster. Alright, we're back. I also don't know if a paper plate is like the right thing to use here or not. I don't know the quantity to use, so I'm kind of just going by feel here, you know? So if it feels right, we'll do it, kind of thing. I'm getting it literally everywhere I don't want it to. That's horrible. fixable though, right? So we're kind of just gonna go do this for a while and then see how it turns out. So we'll be back once we have results. Alright, we're back. I kind of got it bondoed up. Again, my first time doing it, so it looks kind of bad. So, but yeah, we're going to let this dry and then we'll be back. I really don't know how long to let this dry. I'll have to read the instructions again, but I'm going to let it dry for about an hour or so. But let's check up on the barrel. So let me just set this somewhere. Let's set it. Sorry guys. I set it right there. About. Sorry it's in frame. Hope that doesn't bother y'all. Here's the barrel. All hardened up. That's really good. It did say its set time is roughly about 24 hours. Did it say 24 hours? Let me check one second. Let's see here. Three hours. I apologize. Alright, so it did say its set time is about 3 hours. I really don't know how long it's been. I think it's probably been closer to 25 minutes than it has to 3 hours, but I have no idea. I'm just going to trim off some of this excess. And then we're going to see if we can take the barrel apart in two halves. And hopefully the paper trick worked and we won't have to fix that. So let me get this taken apart and we'll be back. Well, I guess you guys gonna see this. So let's skip to 2x speed. All right, we got it all set up here. Let me take the tape off. That way it'll make it easier to take apart, hopefully. I guess the tape doesn't want to come off. Got a little bit of trouble with it. There we go. I see it. It's kind of melted off of itself. There we go. Alright, let's get rid of that tape and let's see if we can get this thing apart. Wait, did I undo all the screws? Yeah. There we go. I guess I didn't undo all the screws. There we go. Now all the screws are undone. Now you should be able to lightly twist the barrels and it'll come apart just like that. The paper has stuck, but that's okay, as you can kind of just tear it off, and a light bit of sanding should do the trick. Kind of just make it flat like so. Let me check it out. Yep, works good. And a little bit of light sanding on this side. And it has come out. And it has come out cleanly in two halves, as you can see. Sorry about that. But as you can see, it is a clean one half. The reason you'd want to split it right now is because, I don't know if you can tell, but it's still a little squishable. So get some air in between it and it should help it dry faster. But just a light bit of sanding and you should have two perfectly formed halves. As you can see, that one lines up quite nicely as its half, and you can lightly sand it as well. But I'd be gentle with it and be careful, just so it doesn't fall apart, because it is only partially cured. But now that you have some air in between the layers, it should help it dry faster. So as you can see, looks quite cool actually. We're gonna sand this in a minute. It's still slightly tacky, so we're gonna let it cure some more. So we should be back with the bondo and the barrel in a second with some results. Alright, we're back. It dried a little more, and as you can see, I have done some work to it. Let's see here if I can get that in frame. I apologize. As you can see, it has contoured slightly to the body, and we're just going to lightly sand it until you can get yourself a satisfactory level of smoothness. Again, we will be going over this with bondo once it fully cures, kind of like so. And kind of like that is the result we're looking for, is a nice straight barrel with no flared pieces, so we can put a muzzle on it eventually and hopefully. I think we're going to end it here. It has been quite a long video. I apologize. We will continue once this cures, and we will continue with how to prepare it and prime it and sand it and all that. But I think we should cut it here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry it was kind of long, but I thought this was a pretty cool project. But yes, we will continue once everything is cured and ready to be sanded and painted. So have a good day or evening. Thanks for watching. Comment down below if I should paint the blaster or should I give it its original paint job back once this is finished. If you have any ideas, please comment them down below. Thanks for watching.